Welcome back to the Boomer Bus podcast. It's episode 11. It's great to have the season back. Finally games to talk about. Red Zone Sunday is back and I've got some top guests in there. My co-pilot is missing this week. He was due to join us on Zoom. He's actually in Mexico, but I think his wife said a word with him and told him to get a grip of his life and take a holiday. So Kieran's missing this week, but we've got some great guests in here. We've got again our Spanish correspondent, Roberto. Welcome back, mate. How are you?
Yes, good. Happy to be here again. I'm obviously a wee bit annoyed. I got absolutely hammered in my fantasy game last night, but I'm happy to be here with you and we'll talk about that soon enough, I imagine.
Yep, you had mixed emotions last night, didn't
Yeah.
you? But we'll talk about it. And our other guest, he actually defeated me last night in the Battle of the Champions. Drew, how are you, mate?
I'm good, especially after last night, Shug.
Well, you were lucky.
It was a tight one, it was really tight.
But again, good to be back, good to be talking about the games. We're here at the G4 podcast studio. Thanks again for them for having us. What about Kieran missing us, eh? Joke.
I think it's absolutely ridiculous. She get cancelled off, that's him.
In fairness, it's typical Kieran, he puts in all the graft. Now, I don't do anything. I just turn up, talk mince. And Kieran does all the work, sits up editing all night, and then when the games actually come on, he's missing.
Right.
Typical, isn't it?
I had to have a word with him away back in the car last week. I was like, what are you going to do next week about it? And he's like, oh, I think I might do it from Mexico. I was like, Kieran, you're away with your wife. You can't be sitting. You can't be sitting for an hour during lunch by the pool. You know what I mean?
What time is it there now? Is it lunchtime?
I spoke to him today about 4 o'clock and he said it was 10. So what's that? About 2 or something like that.
Okay.
Aye.
They could easily made this.
I know I could have, but to be fair, I like that from Kelly. She's probably said to him,
Yeah.
like, because listen, that you work hard all year for your holidays, and the last thing you want to be doing, I'll tell you what, next time I go on holiday, the last thing I'll be doing is talking NFL judo balls.
Definitely. To be fair, he's probably talking about it with Kelly.
I'll
He's pulling her ears
she'll be
off.
like, I wish I was on that podcast. But anyway, let's get into it. There's plenty to get through. Let's get straight into the games. What was your standout game? I'll ask Roberto first, but I think I know since he's the big blue bear in the G4 house.
Yeah. So it was obviously going to be the Bears game. First game of the season, big kind of transition job happening in Chicago just now. So to get a victory over the 49ers, who you could argue will be pushing for playoffs, wildcards, Super Bowl, was a great first week. So I don't know I do know the weather probably played a massive factor in it because it was absolutely chucking it down the whole game. There was moments where it was just torrential rain, there was puddles all over the park, quarterbacks couldn't really play, they couldn't throw the ball, couldn't catch it, there was a lot of running going on, but I wouldn't take it away from the Bears. They played well. I mean, first half they were really poor. Fields I think had 19 yards in the full first half, so as a starting quarterback that was quite concerning. But second half they turned it around, they started to pick holes in the 49ers defence, and 19-10 you'll take that, especially in poor weather, you'll take that for week one.
I think it was one none of us predicted. I think last week we were talking about it and we said we didn't think the Bears would have enough. I think all three of us last week said 49ers, we all thought it'd be strong. What do we know?
I know. I said to Martin, I said, listen, the Bears will win this. I wasn't confident in Trey Lance, and he obviously has something special about him, but I don't know, he was out for a lot last season. Does he have the experience in the big leagues that you need to take the team over the line? I don't know. Well, he didn't last night, so.
Weather did look class to play, didn't it? It looked brilliant. It looked proper old school, didn't it?
It's like one of those ones you wake up on a Sunday morning and go out and play football and you're like, oh my god, just get me back to my bed. Especially as a goalkeeper, you do not want to be diving about now.
I love that weather, she's sliding about.
Did you see the end when they
that's class.
Into the end zone and sliding their bellies and stuff? That's what you want. That's what you want to see.
I seen that Trey Lance came out saying that he's more used to playing in snowy conditions rather than wet conditions. You're like, oh come on,
that was before the game, that was excuses,
he
were in his head already, that was it, the game was won before it.
Rent free.
100%. But nah, listen, good victory, I'm really happy to start 1-0, it's perfect.
Brilliant. And Drew, what's your standout game?
Well, I went for the Baker Bowl. Browns versus the Panthers. I think we all said the Panthers as well would win it the last week. and surprisingly also the Browns ended up winning it against the Panthers. But one thing that was really, really surprising to me was the whole thing with Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb.
Yeah.
Kareem Hunt taking obviously a lot of the stuff from Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb was still getting targets, still getting yards, but Kareem Hunt scoring 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Like when you get Nick Chubb in your fantasy team,
that's why you're so
you're not exactly you're not very happy. I was looking forward to it because I've got McCaffrey and I've got Chubb, so I was like, well, either way I'm going to get points each way. But McCaffrey kind of flattered to deceive a wee bit. Yeah, he scored a touchdown, but I did think he could maybe do a wee bit better. But it's always the first game with Baker Mayfield and stuff like that, so I think there's a lot more to come there. But obviously it went right to the wire, and then obviously York with the field goal just in the line, the 9 seconds. No, but it was a decent game. You know, high scoring. What was it, 24-26? So it was decent.
Yeah.
Well, for me, it was the Miami Dolphins.
Fins up
indeed. Fantastic win.
There you go.
I think we predicted it. I think Kieran was the only one that said he thought the Patriots would win. Big start for the Dolphins. I thought Tyreek Hill made a good impression. Good start for him. Waddle, the waddler.
Yeah.
He made his mark as well, and their defence came out on top. Tua, I think he'll still have his doubters, to be honest with you. I thought he had a solid enough game without really standing out or anything like that. So I think there'll still be question marks over there. But I'd say it's a big win. Started off really well, blew them out of the water, so big win. Any other game? There was loads happening yesterday. It feels like there was loads of drama. It was such a brilliant night for football. What other games kind of stood out to you?
I mean, there were so many games that went to the wire, like the Baker Bowl, and I don't know what was happening with the kickers last night, but there was so many missed kicks, and like the dying seconds to win the game. There was 3 games that went overtime? Two games went overtime, and the kickers could not seal the win. Like it was bonkers. But the one that stands out is the Steelers game for me. I thought the Steelers looked good. Their defence was unbelievable. They made Joe Burrow look a bit like an amateur, so that was a real standout one for me.
But now with the injury, do you think it'll TJ Watt with effect?
Yeah, true.
You know, is that going to have a massive effect on them?
Yeah, but I mean, they did come back, didn't they? I mean, because they were 23 up or something, and the Bengals came back. So,
yeah.
And obviously Najee Harris as well was.
Joe Burrows took a wee while to get going, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
And even at that, he probably didn't get to his full potential.
No, definitely not.
And another one against me has to be the Giants.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was a great one. Yeah. And I called it last week.
Big one for them. Yeah.
I called it.
Yeah.
Agreed. There was some other big ones as well. I mean, I thought to kick off the season, I thought the Bills really impressive. Again, as we expected, we've been talking about them. But I didn't see it being so comfortable.
No.
Josh Allen, terrific performance, just very impressive defence. The Rams just didn't really click, did they?
No.
Do you think it's a bit of a hangover from last season, or?
I mean, there's massive boots to fill since you won the Super Bowl. Then how do you go into the next season? There's been a lot of teams that obviously took that momentum, and the Chiefs done really well. The Patriots have always done really well after it, but I don't know if it was necessarily a bad Rams performance or just a brilliant Bills performance.
Yeah.
I mean, 7 sacks I think they got in Stafford, and well, I definitely know that he was my quarterback. So.
You didn't take my advice, I told you this.
I know,
I told you. But when you look at it, what did Justin Fields get? He only got about 13 or something, so either way you're a bit
just a terrible manager, that's it.
And you must have been happy at the Bills game. You must have been rubbing your hands at that. 17 points for your defence.
I know that.
I'm onto one, and then Akers.
That ends up saying if we'll go on to him, we'll go on to him. But I was delighted with that. Other big results as well. Chiefs. I mean, I think everybody was worried. Everybody was kind of thinking, will they be the same with the cheetah? And I think we said it last week. We thought Patrick Mahomes will find a way, and they just seem to be potentially even better than last season. I don't know what you guys think. I thought they were.
I definitely look better.
Aye.
I definitely do. I think there was a lot of when obviously Hill was there, it was quite consistent. Hill, Kelsey. But last night they spread the ball against so many different receivers. They were playing a lot of 2 tight end routes as well. So they had Kelsey on and they had that other tight end. I can't remember his name, which they seemed pretty dangerous in the red zone, but they looked phenomenal.
But did you think they were able to do that because of what the score was? You know what I mean? Like obviously you seen Pacheco scoring a touchdown and stuff like that. So because you are so comfortable in the game, then it obviously does give you more opportunities to try different things and try different players and maybe stuff that you wouldn't be able to do in a closer game. So then, you know what I mean, and maybe a fantasy wise, people are now looking, Pacheco scored a touchdown, maybe I should look at him, but then you need to look, is it really going to benefit you in the long run? But I was quite disappointed in the Cardinals. I thought they should have done a wee bit better.
Defensively, they were awful. They were really bad. And I was listening to another pod, and they were saying that like no team ever blitzes Mahomes. And last night, I think the Cardinals tried to blitz Mahomes 50% of their plays or something, and it just
left them wide open.
It just did not work.
The wee shovel pass that he done for one of the touchdowns. That was beautiful. That was beautiful.
Another big win, the Saints. Comeback win. I was looking at half time. I've got quarterback and
Winston
and Kamara in my team.
Yeah.
And it just looked as if they were. I know Kamara didn't really have a great night, but Winston was really poor. There was one stage when it looked as if he was going to come off injured, and he actually turned it around and had a really good second half. So a big one for them as well. But I'm going to ask you on your own teams. On Roberto, I'll start with you on the Bears. Do you think it is that? Would you read too much into the first game? I know it'll give you a bit more optimism, but has it changed the way you're feeling about the season, or give you a bit more feeling, or do you think it's just game one?
I think it's game one. With that game, there's so many factors. The weather being the biggest one, but I mean, it was a pretty underwhelming performance from the Bears for a lot of the game, especially the first half. It's great to take a victory into the week 2. I mean, you don't want to go in 0-1 and you're going up against, I don't know, the Chiefs or something like that. So I won't look too much into it. I won't get my hopes up too much. I won't say that they'll make the Super Bowl, but I mean, you're as good as your recent results. So happy with it.
And what about you, Drew?
You know, poor start for the Rams, wasn't it? You know, and looking at how they played against the Bills, and I think one of the biggest factors in their performance this season is going to be the loss of Von Miller. You know, defensively, I just think they're going to be an absolute shadow without him. And then if they can't keep teams out, you're not going to win games. You know, and I said obviously last week about Cup, can he do it again? He obviously did show that he's obviously got the quality to do the exact same thing again, but I'm not too confident in Stafford this year. I don't know why. He was last season. I highlighted he was a co-leader in interceptions last year, and I think he threw three or four. I think he threw. So that, like, you know, obviously gets sacked a lot, but getting sacked, is that the quarterback's fault or is that the O-line's fault? That's the thing. But
Von Miller was massive in that, and I think Von Miller for that Bills defence almost gave the players around him the confidence to be able to attack the quarterback, and I feel like the full line was on Stafford constantly. So
I mean, for me, the Dolphins, I wouldn't call it a statement win. I think it was a win. We kind of thought they would get there. We thought that the teams would be about the same level, and they've done really well. But I wouldn't call it's just a start. I don't think it says anything. I don't think it tells you the full story about how the season's going to go, but it's a very, very strong start. I think there was a lot kind of riding on it. I think there was a lot of people saying they might take a while to gel. It's interesting to see how Hill just came in and slotted nicely in there. And I think especially because of the way Dolphins started last year, they went on a losing run and then they picked it up and then they just fell short. I think it was huge for them to get off to a winning start in that sense. As I said, I thought at the start of the season, I think they'll make it into the playoffs. Maybe go a wee bit deeper into there, but I don't think they're going to do anything massive this year. I think this is going to be a kind of transitional year to some extent, but look really strong. So
to break down the Patriots, it's decent. You know what I mean? They're usually quite good defensively, and to make them look like a second string team, you know, I think it's quite a difficult thing, hard thing to do, especially Bill Belichick. He kind of has his defence drilled, doesn't he? So
we were saying it's, to be honest with you, I think this season is absolutely wide open. I mean, I predicted the Bills at the start, and they look very strong, but that's the way NFL is, isn't it? It's very, very competitive. It's not like a lot of times in sort of British football or whatever, we can see at the start of the season there's two teams or one team that stand out. It's anybody's game, isn't it? So
you never know with injuries as well, isn't it? I think injuries probably massively impact maybe the NFL season more than maybe a football season. You could maybe get somebody up to the same quality and to replace them, but if you lose Josh Allen,
Yeah.
You're not going to have Josh Allen number 2 to replace Josh Allen, are you?
Exactly.
You know, so that's the thing, isn't it?
Exactly. I mean, aside from whether your team won, lost, or how you got on in fantasy, it was great to have an NFL back, wasn't it? It was great to be sitting on a Sunday night, get the red zone back on, get the fantasy football looking at your app, constantly stressing over it. It was great to be back, and especially I think it highlighted because obviously it's been a sad weekend in the UK with the passing of the Queen, and football in the UK, sport in the UK was cancelled. You know, so we kind of look forward to that. Everyone had been a wee bit sad over the weekend. It was something good to look forward to at the end of the weekend, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
So, good few more weeks enjoying that anyway as it builds up.
Definitely.
But we'll get into the fantasy football in the next stage. So we'll go through each of our teams. I'm going to start with Drew. Bit of a sickener for me. You've picked me at the post. Talk us through how your team done, what your thoughts were really.
Well, we were obviously talking throughout the game, and it was kind of back and forth with me and you. You know, I was kind of after Thursday night when you had the. We won't go too far into it. I'll let you start off by absolutely slating them. But obviously, you had the Bills defense, great game there. Other guys on the team that played on Thursday night, not so good. So I was kind of feeling quite confident after Thursday night, and then my team didn't start off too well. And I was really struggling, and Chris McCaffrey scored touchdown, but I needed something extra. I knew I needed something, and then Rashad Bateman scored a touchdown for a great pass to Lamar, great pass. So then that got me right back into it. But I don't think there's anything more frustrating in fantasy football when you look at your bench and you're like, nightmare, absolute nightmare. I had Johan Dotson on my bench, you know, rookie year. For the Commanders, 18 points, 2 touchdowns. You know, there's no way you can call that.
Yeah.
There's no way you can call that. Yeah. I'm not starting Johan Dotson over Bateman, Amari Cooper, Mike Evans. You're never going to do that. You know what I mean? You can never call that. But I did have a few injuries in the lead up to the game, Lazard and Kittle. So
it's frustrating, isn't it? When you look at the bench, because I had a few as well, and you sit and think.
Aye.
I mean, I had the likes of Landry on the bench, put up 18 points. You put him in, it makes a big difference. Shepherd as well.
Your bench was strong, and then you had DJ Shark as well.
Shark attack, great Shark.
Shark we get with it.
Looking through my team, they were lost at sea anyway. As you said, the Bills started off really well. My defence got me 17 points, which is
what a dream start.
Very good. But one man just let the full team down. It was Akers. I'll get on to him when we talk about our kind of boom and bust, because he's right in one category. But to give me 0 points for running back, he's been poisonous in the dressing room, and I want rid of him, to be honest.
How can he get 0 points? So this is the thing I can't understand.
My running back, he won a few points at them. Now, looking through my team, Winston, as I said, didn't have the greatest first half, turned it round. Kamara, not great. He put up 7 points, a pretty poor day. But that can happen. Akers, I'm done with him. Hill gave me 18 points. I cannot complain at that. He's done what I've asked him.
18 points for a wide receiver without a touchdown, like that.
Exactly.
That's pretty good, man.
Gagey, he was my last hope, and Gagey was at what was it, 3.3 points he put me. But
in that game, there was 1 touchdown in that whole game. In the Bucks versus Cowboys.
Oh, was that?
1 touchdown, and who was it? Mike Evans.
Yeah, it was a good catch. Good one-handed catch, it was class.
And Joku, absolute joke. 1.7 points he put up for me at tight end. Probably my fault since I traded some of my best tight ends. But
you traded 2, didn't you?
I traded 2, but listen, risk and reward.
And I ended up with 1 I think.
Kirk, he put up 17 points, 17.7 points, which can't argue with.
Yeah.
Singletary, decent enough. 8.2. Kicker, Mayer, 5 points, and then 70. So we were poor, to be honest with you. We were pretty much. Listen, I've got to take the blame as well as coach. My trades have been all over the place. It's been erratic. It's been a choppy pre-season. But the boy, I would advise most of those players, do not get comfy.
Yeah.
Keep your phone on, because you could be moving.
There's only 1 player in your bench with single figures. That's pretty class.
That's good.
Poor, isn't it?
It's also heartbreaking at the same
time. I know. See,
I know, but you look at your bench, you could have put in guys, do you know what I mean? That's how the cookie crumbles, isn't it?
That is.
So,
actually the Cowboys game right at the start, so he obviously get the field goal right at the start of my half, and it must have been quite far out because they only scored one field goal and they get 5 points for it, so it must have been quite a long one. And I seen that and I was like, oh, here we go. This is it.
Ended up it didn't really matter.
I know.
Roberto, over you. Think about it hiding.
And listen, I knew it was going to be bad when I put Stafford in and he's playing on Thursday night and he gets me just under 8 points, 7.8 points, had an absolute howler. He was getting sacked left, right, centre. So listen, the weekend started terribly, but on at the bench, kind of discussion, my bench outperformed my starting team, which is quite frustrating. I've got Cordell Patterson and Drake London for the Falcons on, who I didn't think the Falcons were going to do anything this season. Patterson gets 22-6 and Drake London gets 12-40, so straight away that's nearly 40 points between two of them on my bench. But I'll quickly go through my team. So Aaron Jones, Packers looked all over the place last night. He only got me 10 points.
I'm surprised at that. I was really surprised, but they were all over the place, weren't they?
They were. I just don't know if what's his face? Rodgers' head is gone. He's lost Devontae Adams. I just don't know what's happened. But he looked frustrated. Body language was all over the place. Pollard, I thought was going to step up, 4 points. Jefferson, my main man, he actually got half of my points last night. 39.4 points, phenomenal. Zach Ertz was injured a full week. He turned up for the Cardinals, got me 11 points. Darnell Mooney, which I'll speak about later, could potentially get added to the fraud list, under 2 points. Listen, I got absolutely hammered. I mean, I've still got 2 players to play, right? So right now I'm 76 points behind.
There's always hope.
So I've got hope.
Who have you got left?
Jerry Jeudy.
Jeudy.
And I've got Kyle Lockett, who everyone is saying he's going to do terribly this season, but listen, I've got complete faith in Kyle Lockett. I think he's going to, what's this, he'll get like 2 points or something like that.
You can judge Jeudy after playing.
So
I knew that one.
76 points, I need to get to beat Jordan. So
do you think you can do it?
I mean, I've got complete blind confidence, so I think my boys will turn up. I can't say that. That's
look at Jordan's team. That is just absolutely frightening.
Yeah.
Aye.
It's frightening.
I can't take it away from Jordan. I mean, he had Mahomes and Hilaire. Mahomes was 35 points, Hilaire 22, DeAndre Swift 26. I mean, Waddle 17, Brown 14. I mean, he was phenomenal. So well done, Jordan. I hope you're happy with yourself.
Kareem Hunt on his bench as well at 23 points, man.
I know.
It's frightening.
It is
frightening. But anyway, we move on.
Yeah.
We're going to look at, so just kind of keeping on the fantasy subject, we're going to go with your booms and busts. So first of all, Drew, can you give us a boom from the weekend?
I'll go Johan Dotson, first game in the NFL, 2 touchdowns, racks up 18 fantasy points, and I was actually quite impressed with Carson Wentz watching Red Zone. He was very direct and he was very to the point and accurate, and I thought he done really, really well. And it looks like, although you said last week the Commanders look absolutely bullshit, it looks like they could maybe put a few other games together. I thought Johan Dotson and Curtis Samuel, I thought he looked pretty good as well. And yeah, I thought I was very impressed by Johan Dotson, but it's one of these ones. I've now got a rookie of 18 points. There could be a few wee nibbles at him this week in the trades, I think,
Yep.
And listen, guys, I'll be open to it.
Open for business.
I'm open.
There's not a lot of people in the league that are open to business, to be fair.
I know, but there's some people that just try and rip you off in this.
We'll get to them, don't worry. Roberto, your boom?
My boom is, I mean, it has to be a standout performance of the full weekend. Justin Jefferson was absolutely phenomenal. 39.40 fantasy points. You expected him to have a phenomenal year off of the back of last year. Vikings are looking really solid. Kirk Cousins look brilliant. But 184 yards, 2 touchdowns over just 9 receptions. I mean, that is absolutely scandalous.
And he does the gritty.
And he does the gritty. So
it was not to love.
It's the full package.
Yeah.
He's got everything. So
I mean, we didn't really talk about the Vikings. We didn't really talk too much about them, but
Yeah,
I think
great one
as well.
Yeah.
It's not one. I don't think any of us predicted it last week, did
No, we all said the
we? No, I all
Packers.
said the Packers.
Am I not right in saying, is that a kind of grudge match?
Yeah, it's the same division, so
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they're rivals feel like
Yeah.
close to each other as well, so could be interesting, and we could be joined by a Vikings fan on the pod as a guest, but that's all I'll give away at this point in time.
Oh, don't think it's Alan Kearney.
Ragnarok.
So my boom I'm going to go with is Saquon Barkley. He is one that Kieran, he played a bit of a game here of us because I was going to give him credit because he spoke about him. He kept going on about how good he was going to be, but then never. He had, what did you say, 2 attempts to pick him up?
He had 2 attempts to pick him up at the draft. He had him on his first way round, and then they could have got him on the way back up, and he patched them both times, and now he's both his running backs are injured. It's like you can't big up somebody and then not take them. It's going to come back and bite you in the bum, but I think we should definitely clip it for last week. Shelton said he's like that. This is my year.
100%. It was great to see. I mean, we were obviously nipping tuck, me and you not playing particularly well either our teams, but it was so good to see Kieran get so many injuries now.
Oh my god,
I hope these guys are alright, but in one way, but it was beautiful to see, wasn't it? So many injuries he kept putting in. But I go with Saquon Barkley. I think, again, as we said, we've been talking about him quite a bit. I think it was mixed reviews. Obviously we didn't know how he was going to performed really well his first game, and obviously a big win for the Giants anyway. So he's my boom for the week. Let's go on to busts. Roberto.
So sticking with the consistent theme and speaking about the Bears, Darnell Mooney is my bust. So he had 1 target last night for 8 yards. So
that's disgusting.
1.8 points. The thing is, like all the experts, absolutely every single person talking about the Bears, Justin Fields, Darnell Mooney going into this season, was that Justin Fields is going to target Mooney all the time. He's the only half decent wide receiver that they've got on that offense, and I mean 1 target in a full game. I don't know if that's the weather, I don't know what it was, but he's super bust to the point that I'm like, I need to get rid of him.
He got totally eclipsed, didn't he?
The weather could have a massive thing to do with it. Oh my god.
I hope it was the weather, but like now I'm at the point where I've got 2 rookie wide receivers on my bench who performed well in dubs for Packers and Drake London for the Falcons, and I'm like, do I stick with Mooney next week for my fantasy, or do I give one of the young boys a chance?
I was actually really impressed with the Falcons.
Yeah,
we spoke about this. And I thought Mariota looked actually really good as well, you know. And I think most of the Falcons players we wrote off in terms of fantasy, and we would only say really the only one we'd pick up is probably Kyle Pitts. And I don't think he had his name mentioned once last night in Red Zone, so I don't even know. It would be interesting to see how many points he got. But yeah, I was impressed with the Falcons.
Yeah, me too.
Drew, who's your bust for the weekend?
Bust. I'll stick with my team, and I'm going to go Amari Cooper. Yeah, he was projected at 14.3 points, and he scored 4.7 points. There was to be fair, I don't know if it was really his fault. I felt there was a lot of times he was in good positions in open space, and Jacoby Brissett just couldn't get the ball to him. So I don't know if it's just Brissett being at quarterback that's not impacting him very well, or if it's Amari Cooper himself. I think maybe seeing Deshaun Watson coming in there, obviously week 11 could see a massive upturn in form for Amari Cooper. But again, it's week 1, you can't write him off too early. But I was quite disappointed in his performance. I thought he would have maybe scored me a good few more points.
How many points did he get you?
4.7.
4 points. That's 4.7 more than the guy I'm got. So mine, I mean, Alvin Kamara was a disappointment for me, but my big one is Cam Akers.
Yeah.
That was absolutely appalling, as we touched on earlier. 0 points, a big goose egg. Offered me nothing. I've been worried about him, to be honest with you, from just the things I've been reading about him. Tried to punt him last week to anybody that would take him, but unsuccessfully, so I'll be trying to get short of him. What do you think, guys? Should I cut ties? Because I got a bit of advice from Kieran, who you take with a pinch of salt because I think he's always trying to play the game. He said, I'd hold on to Akers because Henderson won't last, He told me that, then rejected that offer I thought they would give Akers, so I tell you what you need to know.
He's got waiver in for Henderson. No.
What do you think, guys? Cut ties?
I just seen there that he had 3 attempts
Yeah.
with 0 yards. And
I
then
honestly-
Sean McVay's came out saying Cam's got to maximise his opportunities.
Yeah.
Cam's got to go. Cam.
He's got to go.
I mean, obviously Akers was horrible, but it was strange that as the game went on, Henderson was still there, he was still there, and every single offensive play that the Rams were using, Henderson was still in the game, so it was a wee bit concerning for anyone that's got Akers like yourself, but
Yeah.
I mean, you need to take your opportunity, especially what happened last year was at the playoffs that he fumbled it or something, and
I think you're right,
there was something ridiculous that happened, and they nearly got knocked out or something, but you need to take your opportunity, and I mean, he clearly has this
He's mugged already. He's absolutely mugged.
See a team like the Rams, right? And if you're not 100% confident in your running backs,
Yeah.
and Henderson and Akers, you've just won the Super Bowl. You're not going to be short of money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're in LA. Anybody would want to come and play for you. Why would you not go out and get yourself a top tier running back?
I mean, they obviously see something in him behind closed doors like that. I mean, they wouldn't still keep him.
Just
I wouldn't let him
Get stage fright when he comes in.
keep the doors shut. Don't let him.
Sean McVay's put a brush ball in front of the doors, locked him in a locker.
He's got to go for my team, but he's my definite. There was no, I didn't have to even consider it. He's my bust, even though I had a couple of shockers in there, but he's the one there.
Try and get my way now.
Nobody will ever accept it.
I've got to work on a strategy to just get rid of him. But otherwise, I'm just putting him in a scrap heap.
But see, the thing is,
I'm just putting it in my driveway and see if anybody takes him.
the thing is, look at your bench, right? You've got players there on your bench. You could definitely put him in your bench for now. Bring somebody else in, another wide receiver. See how it goes for a couple of weeks. Racks up a good few games, a couple of points, and people will be after him again.
Yeah. Singletary into your RB2 position and stick on.
Yeah, a wide
Sterling
receiver.
Shepard was class for the Giants.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I don't know if you can follow it up on our good performance.
They're getting worse. They're going down.
No pill, no will organising. Right, well, anyway, what we want to touch on next is the next game we've got coming up in our fantasy league. How you're feeling about that? If you've got what's this week going to look like for you? You quite content with your team? Either that you think they'll turn it around or he's got to make changes. Start with you, Drew. You obviously won. Walking tall, the champ, 1-0.
Yep.
Are you quite content, or what's your strategy on for this week?
It really depends on my injuries, I think. Hopefully Lazard and Kittle will both be back for next week. I think losing Kittle was a big loss, you know, because your top tier tight ends, you're never going to be able to replace them. Kelsey, Mark Andrews, Kittle, that's probably your 3 top ones. I brought in Henry. He's never going to rack up the same amount of points as them. So hopefully Kittle will be back in a tight end position, and Lazard will be back in for Green Bay, although don't know if I really want Lazard back in for Green Bay because they were absolutely terrible. But playing Derek this week, don't know. It looks tight in the projected scores just now, but in terms of my team, I'm open to offers. I tried to help a few players out today, and they knocked me back. Main one being Kieran, as we spoke about. 2 running backs are injured. I was like, Kieran, I'll take a risk on one of your I'll take a risk on your running backs. I offered them Nick Chubb for Najee Harris because he's out injured as of Sunday. Knocked me back. Nah,
He's
a new toasty.
He has a new toasty.
and I thought that's quite fair. RB1 for an RB1.
Yeah.
And he's saying, I don't like the thing with Kareem Hunt and all that. I was like, come on.
He's going to get Chubb's going to get points.
He's still get points.
Overwhelming strong performer.
He could get more points than Najee Harris if he's injured. You know.
True.
So.
I mean, I think for me, we'll that kind of touch on nice for me playing against Kieran. That always turns into a bit of a grudge match. To be honest with you, that is a big game. It's a bit of rivalry. For me, obviously, as I said, big disappointment from my team. I'm not losing heart. I think there is my bench seems to be doing alright. I can make changes there, but I will look to go into the market this week.
Yeah.
See if I can get any deals done. As I said, Akers, I want to upgrade that area. I've got enough, as you said, wide receiver depth to get a tune out of that team, and tight end needs an improvement, so I'll probably look to pick up somebody on that side. I found the rest of the league to deal with very, very hostile. If I'm being honest, to my trades.
It's difficult. It is difficult.
It's difficult to do business. I feel like I give a wee bit and hope to get a bit back, but then you get folk treating you like mugs, offering you ridiculous trades. But listen, I'll look to do a bit of manoeuvring. In the past, I've made some wacky trades. I've also made some trades that have worked out in the end, so we'll see what this week brings. But I do fancy myself to beat Keelan. He gets a lot of injuries. He tends to talk a good game and doesn't usually do anything in this fantasy league, so I really fancy myself to beat him.
Kieran will get beat next week and he claims, I don't mind getting beat 2 weeks in a row.
Waivers.
Then I get waivers.
It's urban doors, it's a man game.
Exactly.
There should be like a podcast like the loser needs to do something for the next episode, the next podcast, because you'll obviously still both be here right after the game.
I know that that'll be an interesting podcast.
That's a good show.
That'll be an interesting podcast. For sure.
We'll come up with something anyway. But there should be a forfeit for the loser.
Thing that I can't stand with fantasy is like when you see when other teams have players on their bench that you want, and you're like, right, I'll trade you for the players on your bench, and they're like, nah.
Yeah.
You're like, right, you've got one bye week. You know what I mean? You're not going to keep all those players for your bye week.
What I don't like is that nobody's corrupt enough in this league. So like, I can't message you and go, you've got an easy game, you can do a losing game, give me all your players.
Oh, there was a bit of corruption last year.
I was done. I make a joke about it, that's not actually happened, but right before the playoffs I needed a win against, I think it was you, Drew?
No, I was playing Toasty.
Are you sure? No, that's because how it worked
I
out.
played Toasty.
So you were playing Toasty and you needed a win to get into the playoffs, and I also needed a win to get into the playoffs. Toasty played a weakened team. He played a weakened team and ended up losing, which meant I missed out in the playoffs. But ironically, then Drew went on to beat Toasty to the championship. So that is absolute karma. And I've never been happy to see anybody lose a game as I was, because that was outrageous.
I don't think Toasty would have done that for me. He hates me.
I
hate him.
I think it's like a secret love.
Maybe Toasty isn't even real and it's just me.
It's just you, your heat.
His team was a bit ridiculous. He had Hacksaw Jim Duggan at running back.
It was his team last year was absolutely disgusting.
It was class.
Who's that because of? Why was his team so disgusting?
He done a trade with me.
Exactly.
And Jordan as well.
I rolled the dice and got caught out. But I've seen it's all still to play for in the fantasy league. Roberto, who you got this week?
I've got Tony, so
he's looking good.
Tony, he had a good victory week 1. He beat Kieran actually. Common theme here.
Beat the family derby.
I've made one change so far, brought in Cordell Patterson. Again, like we said, I think the Falcons would do anything, but offensively they looked absolutely class. So
who have they got?
They have the Rams.
Well, defence on top.
Yeah. So brought in him, and I'm really torn about Drake London. Do I play 2 Falcons players like that's a running back and a receiver? If I have a poor game, then I've got 2 busts. So I'm thinking I'll probably avoid Drake London, even though I know he's going to have a really good season. And then Romeo Doubs for Packers. I really like the look of, and I think he's a kind of big play kind of player.
I think in that with Romeo Doubs, I think you need to watch with Lazard. You know what I mean? Once Lazard comes in, then he'll fall further down the pecking order. It's difficult, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, it's all with buts and maybes, and that's the thing, isn't it? But I would probably agree with what you're saying in terms of the Falcons. I think you need in terms of fantasy, you need a spread. Because if you get 2 players in the one team, only one of them's going to touch a ball each play. So if you have your full team, it's different with the quarterback and then maybe a wide receiver, you know, because then obviously the quarterback can feed the wide receiver, whereas if you've got a wide receiver and a running back on, only one of them can touch the ball at the same time.
That's so true.
But I say that and I've got Chubb and Amari Cooper. But that's why I'm quite happy to get rid of either one of them. So
you're playing a lot of heads up.
I'll play ball. You want Akers?
No, I didn't.
But you like my tight end? See you looking at my one. I'll do you a deal.
No, that's alright.
I'll do you a deal.
I sent you a good deal.
Couldn't have been that good. I'd have took a decent deal. No bother.
You would have accepted it straight away.
We'll talk after this, shall we?
See, if you put a lot of players in, goes to my head and I just think, right, roll the dice. Aye.
I think I gave you 2 players for 1 player, and I thought I think I gave you Chubb. Actually, it was Chubb and Lazard for Hill.
Nah, that's not a good deal.
That's decent.
I think that's a pretty good deal.
You're getting RB1 and a wide receiver.
I want you to take Akers as well.
So I get an extra player and I get Hill. And then
up the deal a wee bit.
Alright,
we'll
okay.
talk.
Right, okay.
Okay.
We'll talk about it now.
We'll talk. But anyway, it's been great having you on. We now look forward to the week coming. We'll have another pod out later in the week that will kind of preview the games coming up this weekend, and then we're back again after another big week. But guys, thanks again. You enjoyed that?
Yeah.
Class, enjoyed it once again, aye.
Brilliant. And thanks again to G4 Claims for having us in the G4 podcast studio. It's an absolute privilege. Coffee's tremendous. We've got an iron brew as well.
That's it.
Can't complain with that. And we've held it together alright with the boss Kieran in charge. We hope he's having a good holiday. And we'll ruin this thing before he comes back.
You can just tell that he's in the room pacing up and down. What do I do with my team? I don't know what to do with my team.
Oh no, my podcast, I left those idiots.
I thought we've handled it pretty well. So
We have.
professional.
We've handled it well. But thanks again, boys, and thanks again, everybody, for listening. Subscribe to all the usual channels, tune in, share everything for us, and we'll see you later in the week. Thanks, guys.
Cheers. Bye.